Welcome, guys, to podcast number 48 of Our Ketogenic Life.
Welcome.
Today we're going to talk about cheese. Cheese is very common associated with the ketogenic diet.
Yes. Any kind of even before Atkins, low carb, South Beach, everybody thinks. Some people think it's an all-you-can-eat cheese diet.
Cheese and bacon is what we always say.
Yeah.
And it's okay to have that. We're going to talk about 5 that are good to eat, and probably 5 you need to stay away from or be cautious about eating.
And in all of them, I mean, it's not all you can eat.
Right.
You know, you really have to watch the amount you're putting on, where it comes from. So we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But I
You want
think
to talk about the benefits first or the 5?
The 5. Let's talk about the 5 ones. Let's not that you stay away from.
Okay, 5 that you should not.
Yeah.
This is a no.
And it's not that, you know, again, we're never in the camp of never have something, you know. I mean,
I don't know. I think a couple of these on this list we need to really stay
well,
away from.
right. But, yeah, not on a regular basis. Right, for sure.
All right, so number 1, cheese in a can.
Well, yeah, okay, I take it back.
Spray cheese.
Yeah.
That's something that we really need to stay away from.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually, it's probably not cheese. So
I don't even know what that would be.
So to begin with, you know, that we get asked that, and you may have that question. So
like, is it Cheese Whiz, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. I forgot the names of them.
Right.
Yeah. So number 1, if it's in a can,
probably
not good. Anyway, if it's in a can for about anything, I'm not going to say everything. We try to stay away from.
Right. Unless you've canned it yourself.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah.
Number 2, the American cheese in the wrappers.
Packets, right,
single serves.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that it has to be like 51% cheese, and the rest of it doesn't have to be.
Cheese, right?
Yeah. So it's really not cheese.
It's a processed.
It's a processed food. So you know, it's easy to incorporate that like on hamburgers and different things.
Right, because it melts very easily.
Melts.
Grilled cheese, I mean.
And the problem is really when you go to a restaurant, a lot of times, you know,
it is a cheese process.
So again, cooking at home, much better. You can control. Yeah. You can use some of the other cheeses that we're going to talk about and put them on your hamburger, and it will melt.
Right.
And so, you know, try to stay away from that. Again, if it's in a can or in a wrapper, and especially if it can sit in a shelf for months and months and months.
Yeah.
It's probably not
real. Yeah.
All right, number 3 is the yellow cheddar cheese.
Yeah.
Now, cheddar cheese in itself is okay.
Yeah.
Except when it's yellow, they usually put some dyes in it.
Right.
And again, we're recommending staying away from the processed foods. If you had the choice between yellow cheddar cheese and American single slice cheeses, I'd go with the yellow, cheddar cheese.
Yeah.
But it's not the best.
Right.
And if you're looking for what's best, let's just stay away from that one.
Right. Yeah.
Number 4 and number 5 are similar reasons why. These 2 you don't really have to stay away from all the time. You just have to be cautious about these. Number 4 is a ricotta cheese, and I really don't like ricotta cheese myself. But that's a question that we get, and the reason is because in about half of a cup of ricotta cheese, you have about 5 carbs.
Yeah. So,
if you're really trying to get down to the 20 carb, the 5% of your calories as far as carbs, that's 1/4 of what you can eat.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not the best choice. And then the 5th one, final thing that cheese that you need to stay away from is the cottage cheese.
And so many people, back in the day, it was like if you were going to lose weight, you automatically ate cottage cheese.
And fruit.
Cottage cheese and fruit, right? Yes.
So you had some carbs, you had sugar, you had high fructose corn syrup, which we won't go down that road today.
Right.
So many bad things with that.
Yeah.
So again, cottage cheese, is it bad? It's not as bad as the other ones that we talked about, like cheese in a can.
Right.
But you really have to be careful as far as the amount you eat.
Right. What's in it? Yeah.
And to me, a half a cup. If you're just sitting here and you've not really ever got a measuring cup out,
go get out a half a cup.
And this may be to non-cookers and especially guys who don't cook.
Yeah.
Go get a half a cup, what do you call it, measuring thing, and then just see what half a cup is.
Yeah. It's not very much.
It's a couple bites for me.
Right. Yeah.
So that's really surprising. So anyway, 5 ones you need to stay away from, or 2 you need to stay away from definitely is the spray cheese in the can and the American single slices.
Yeah.
Watch your cheddar or your cottage cheese and your ricotta cheese, and then yellow cheddar cheese is
just try to stay away from the dyes.
The dyes. So those are the 5.
Yeah. And you could probably lump, I'm guessing, Colby cheese has dye in it.
Yes,
you know, so I don't know.
And then we forgot to mention the shredded cheese.
Right. Avoid any kind that's pre-shredded.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
And I had this conversation with somebody. I'll tell them exactly about this week in the clinic. And he had mentioned, and we've noticed this as well, is if you take already processed shredded cheese versus getting a block of cheese and shredding yourself, huge difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference in the taste. The cheese that you're eating in the shredded cheese shouldn't have any carbs in it.
Right.
It should have 0, but if you look on the labels, it usually has a carb.
Or 2.
Yeah, and the reason they have to do that is because they put, fillers in it. Because
and preservatives probably of some sort to keep it.
And then also to keep it from clumping together.
Yeah.
That's why they have to do that. So it's not all pure cheese. It
Right.
has some processed artificial things in it. So the best thing is just to avoid the shredded cheese.
Right.
Get a grater.
Shred it yourself.
Shred it yourself.
You can put it in a food processor if you want to, but it's just easy to go ahead and get the block, cut off what you're wanting,
Right.
and then shred it yourself. It's really not.
No,
it does
it's
not
just
take
one
long.
extra step, but that one extra step just adds to
and
it.
it tastes so much better.
Oh, yeah.
It melts better when you put it on things. It just tastes better.
Definitely.
We just had a little bit of eggs. So,
Eggs and bacon and
cheese.
yeah, it's pretty good.
And a
With
little bit
some
of
sour cream on it.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
So 5 ones then that you can eat.
Yes.
And again, this is moderation. It's not an all-you-can-eat cheese
buffet.
fest. No, yeah.
So number 1 in 1A is goat cheese and feta cheese.
A lot of people say, I don't like goat cheese. And I say, have you ever tried goat cheese? No. Okay. Then
It's salads, man. It is really good in salads.
Yeah.
And on hamburgers and things like that, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
And the reason that we put this number 1 is because of less GI irritation. We're going to talk about that in just a second.
From goat and sheep.
Right.
Is
So you don't have it from a cow. You don't have the things that people are usually intolerant to, which we'll talk about in a second. But, it tastes good. And it doesn't have the carbs. It has good fat in it. So if you haven't ever tried the goat cheese or the feta cheese, just give it a try.
Yeah.
See how you like it. And
you don't have to put very much for it to be.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Number 2 is blue cheese. Same thing. It's really good. It's aged and it's good in fat. And again, we like it on salads. And
Not we. I don't like it. I have tried it several times, and I can eat it, but I wouldn't choose to.
Yeah. Especially
it's
on
just
weeds.
got a little bit of, he likes it like that. Like I said, I've tried it, but it's just something about it, just a little bit too tangy or something, I don't know. But I have tried it several times.
So at least try it. If you don't like it, that's okay too. Number 3 is cream cheese.
Yeah.
Cream cheese is multifunctional.
Yeah.
You can use it many different ways. You can have it just with some meat, like we call it like a platter with some, meat and cheese.
Charcuterie board.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, whatever that is. But anyway, cream cheese is really good, and it's good in fat, and doesn't have the fillers. And you usually, again, we don't want to get the low fat; we want to get the real stuff. And the more that I think that you can learn to put that in places in your diet, the better off you're going to be with it.
Yeah, it is very versatile.
Yes. Number 4 is Parmesan cheese. It's a hard cheese.
The can.
Not the can. Yeah.
Not the thing that sits on the shelf in the pasta aisle. That is not, I don't know what that is.
Yeah. It's one of those cheese in a can type things.
Yeah, no. And don't get the already pre-shredded. Sometimes I've gotten, because we live in a very rural area, so sometimes it's hard for us to find Parmesan that is in, a block. Usually it comes in a triangle, but sometimes I get if I can't get the block, I'll get the shaved. So that's, a little bit better.
Right.
But try not to do the, and I have had to do before too, the already, pre-shredded.
In the green bottle.
No. I'm talking about like there's don't get that.
No.
But I'm talking about sometimes you can get the pre-shredded like in a bag,
Okay.
And again, I don't, I wouldn't advocate for that either.
Mm-hmm.
But try to get the block of Parmesan. Usually it's not going to be where the other cheeses are. A lot of times it's going to be in the specialty case, like at the deli or something.
Yeah,
so,
especially if you live in a bigger city.
and it is a little bit more expensive, and so is goat cheese. But the thing is with this, you don't need a whole lot of it. So it lasts a long time. It's real.
Right.
So if you put it after you open it in a Ziploc bag and really or a container that doesn't let air get to it and keep it in the fridge. It's not like it's not like some of the other cheeses like the American cheese or whatever that you put a big bunch of it on it.
Right.
The goat cheese or the Parmesan really doesn't take a whole lot to add a lot of flavor.
It really does.
Yeah. So.
And number 5, and the final thing as far as cheese, and this can be processed a little bit,
Right, yeah.
but we threw it in here because it's just a good, especially a transition.
Right.
If you're going from
I
the
wouldn't even count this as cheese,
No.
really.
But
it's got the cheese effect.
Right. So, cheese crisp.
And I can't think of, is that what they're called?
I think so.
I
can't remember the brand name,
but there's like, it comes in like the aisle where the salads, and so it's really to replace when you're wanting crunch of a cracker.
Right. So if you're trying to go from
not the cheese, what are those called? Yeah, not
Cheez-Its.
those. Not Cheez-Its.
No.
I wish we could eat those. I do love those. Those aren't even cheese either. But
these are just dried cheese.
Yeah, they're like in the salad section probably. And it's probably, like I said, does have processed, so...
But it's a transition food.
Right, yes.
If you're used to saying, okay, I'm eating a salad, and
you're usually wanting crackers.
I have to have crackers or croutons or something like that. You have to. Now, first of all, when you say you have to, think about that. Do you really have to? But if it helps you make that transition from doing what you normally should do into what you should be doing, it's a good transition for you.
Yeah.
So that's why we threw it in here, just to kind of give you something that will maybe help as far as persisting on the ketogenic diet, so you can live that life. And if it's something that, if that's the only thing that you do as far as the processed foods,
right, yeah,
you're probably going to be okay.
Put that much on your salads.
Again, it's just add something for the crunch.
Yeah. So what are some benefits of cheese?
Obviously, your increased fats.
Yeah.
If you're on a ketogenic diet, you understand fats, is going to provide you energy, so you're going to get that. You're also going to get protein because the way it's made, it's come from the milk, and you have the protein with it, and that can be a double-edged sword. We'll talk about one of the downsides of it too, but increased fat and protein. Obviously, calcium. People know that they get calcium from the cheeses, and that's important for your overall health. But you also get vitamin A, B12, and zinc. And so it's not just calcium as far as the minerals and the vitamins. It also produces other things that is helpful for your overall health. Now, if it's grass-fed, you also get vitamin K2, which helps with the calcium. And we won't go into that, but it helps direct the calcium to your bones and not to the inside lining of your arteries. So that's important. That's vitamin K2. And if it's grass-fed, you also increase the amount of omega-3 fatty acids, which are important. So the type of fat that you get if you use a grass-fed product is going to be much better for you. And basically that's across the board with everything, like meat and things like that. But if you get grass-fed dairy cheese, if you get grass-fed cheese, then you're going to have that omega-3 fatty acid in the K2.
Yeah.
Now, two downsides from this is people getting lactose or casein intolerant. And some of the symptoms that you get.
Headaches.
You can get headaches, GI problems.
Yeah, skin breakouts.
Rashes. There's a lot of people who have rash, like eczema, that it ends up being dairy related. It can be other things like gluten, but it can be dairy. Constipation, and that's why we say not to eat a whole lot of it.
And I really don't eat that much. I mean, I was trying to do completely dairy free, and and I did see some benefits, like headache was mostly the benefit that so I started incorporating it back in.
Yep.
So it's really hard. It's like
Well, it's
everything seems like it has dairy in it.
Yeah.
So our daughter is completely dairy free,
Right.
and it is really hard. And I feel so bad for her because it's like, whenever you go out with somebody, I mean, it's almost inevitable. You're going to go someplace that has dairy,
Right.
and then it's really, really hard for her to.
You
and
you have to research. So
you really have to research because there's so many things that have dairy in it that you don't even realize. And eggs are not dairy.
Right.
So many people think eggs are dairy. Eggs are not dairy. We're talking about something that has a casein, lactose, that type of things in it.
And you just mentioned those two things. A lot of people, when they are intolerant to dairy products, they think it's a lactose, and they say they're lactose intolerant. It could be something else.
Right.
It could be the casein protein.
Right.
So casein can also cause the similar symptoms, and that's why we included the goat and the feta cheese at the beginning of this, is because if you are having those symptoms from it, if you eat cheese and you get indigestion or bloating or headaches or rashes and things like that, try switching to goat cheese or to feta cheese. And then, if you're just intolerant to either one of those, these won't have it in there, and then you'll be able to tolerate that kind of cheese with it.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why we included those two at the very beginning, so that you can have different choices, especially if you have problems with it. A lot of people, when they start the ketogenic diet, they want to do cheese all the time.
Right. They eat cheese with everything.
Everything. And we were probably guilty of it some, because we used to have all kinds of different cheeses.
Right, yeah.
Now we just have, we don't have that much.
No, I try not to.
No.
Probably the most thing with dairy that we would eat, I'm guessing, I don't even know, sour cream.
Probably so. It's funny, at our dinner the other night with our family, when you had milk, and our Aniston,
oh, right, yes,
our granddaughter, she...
I got milk because my dad drinks milk,
Right.
so we had a family...
We can't change him.
No, he's 80,
Yeah.
so...
That's okay. But she was like, oh, Mimi...
She's like, what are you doing with milk? So...
It was kind of funny that, to us, not having milk in our refrigerator, we don't even think about
right,
it.
Yeah.
It's not even thought.
Yeah.
So anyway, try to incorporate at least some goat cheese or some feta cheese into your plan. See if you like that. Add the blue cheese, some cream cheese. Those are really good as far as trying to get your fats up and your proteins, without the carbs. And I would recommend that if you're wanting to snack on it, just get you a block of cheese, like an ounce, because a lot of times they're measured on that,
right, yeah.
or even on the cream cheese. It just gets you a serving size or two, and see if that satisfies you, because to me, cheese is really easy to eat a lot at one time.
Right, yeah.
And
you don't realize you've eaten that much.
It's the same thing we've talked about nuts. Is we don't count calories, but you don't want to go in with a bag of nuts and then just mindlessly eat them. You want to be mindful of everything that you're doing.
Right.
And if you're hungry, go back and get some more.
Right.
But just kind of throwing that out there, just to kind of like make sure that you're not getting overstimulated by the casein and the lactose.
And a lot of people, if you're having a stall, you're not losing weight,
Right.
you're not feeling your best, constipated, just whatever overall, just not feeling your best. Check how much cheese you're eating. Because again, we never say never.
Right.
Again, I tried going dairy free mainly for my headaches, and it really did. I could tell a difference. But so I started incorporating back in a little bit, and sometimes it's easy to do is get back into old habits of eating. Because it is we love cheese, but just check how much chease you're eating. You
just
may
be mindful.
want to, and some of the aged cheese will make people have headaches, where like maybe a goat cheese won't.
Right.
And I don't know, like the blue cheese or the I don't even know what all the aged cheese are, but sometimes the aged cheese has more of a tendency to give a headache. So everybody's different though.
Right.
And like you said, GI problems, you might just check how much cheese that you're having. That could be just switch that up for a little bit, and it can take, I think it's different, but like up to a month to get the cheese out of your system, to get the dairy, to get the casein and the lactose and everything. It can take up to a month to get it completely out of your system.
Because you want to change the gut microbiome,
Yeah.
and that will take some time to do that.
Yeah. So, all right.
But hopefully that's helped. If you tried one of these new cheeses and you never have, let us know. We would love to know if anything has kind of resonated with you.
And there's tons of good cheeses. I mean,
yeah, we couldn't go through all, but we just picked 5 and
Gouda. You know, I mean, there are lots of good cheeses.
I wonder if anybody knows
again,
what brie cheese is.
Everybody knows what brie cheese is.
I didn't know until you did it.
Okay. Anyway, but the way that, I mean, it's, like I said, it's the way you fix it also and what you eat it with, and, you know, salads or on a protein.
Right.
So, but, all right, so today, it is Saturday, September 26th, and, you know, there's a lot going on in the world right now, and especially the United States. We are still in a pandemic. We are
election coming up. Supreme Court judge nominee. There's all kinds
all
of
the things, the protests and the riots that are still going on. We are such a divided land, and I know there are lots of prayer marches that are going on at the state capitol, at Washington D.C. In our Kentucky, in our state capital, there was marches. In our county, we had a prayer march this morning, so we just got back from a little while ago. And our verse, and I don't know if this is for everybody, but I know it was, I think Franklin Graham actually was the one that brought up this verse. So I thought this is a good verse for just with the time for us as Christians to call upon the Lord and really seek Him and ask. You know, revival has to start. Repentance, revival has to start within the Christians.
Starts in individual.
In our, you know, our heart of what we're doing, what we're not doing. You know, the sins that we're, you know, committing that we don't even realize we're committing. Just to call upon the Lord. But when David, it says in 2 Samuel 24:25, it says, David built there an altar to the Lord and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. Of course, now we know that we can go straight to the Lord. He is our offering. So the Lord responded to the plea for the land, and the plague was averted from Israel. So when God's people will humble themselves and pray and seek the Lord, not for someone else, but for ourselves, and realize that we are guilty of sin. And when we come together and call out to Him as His people, He will hear us. And it doesn't mean that something will happen overnight, or that He will avert the plague, or He will take it away, but He will change our heart and realize in our own heart what we're to do, drawing us back to obedience to Him, and really faith in Him and Him alone. It's not what we do. We can only be obedient to Him and to His word, but it's that we look to faith in Him, that He is sovereign and that He knows all things. He knows when He had already planned. He knows the pandemic was going to happen, but He also wants us to realize our part, that we can turn to Him and be obedient and walk in obedience to Him.
Because change usually happens on an individual and a local level with things. It doesn't usually change from a national level. No program that the federal government is going to put out is going to heal our land.
No.
There's nothing that they can do that's going to heal our land. It starts from us repenting individually, taking personal responsibility for the decisions, for the thoughts and the actions that we do. And instead of trying to find what's different between us, finding out what we're all alike. And if you're in a Christian faith, then having that, no matter what your political stance is, whether you're Republican or Democrat or whatever it may be, is that when you come together, you know, identify yourself as children of God, not as a party, not as a skin color, not about anything like that, but, you know, make sure that you are a child of God. And if you're not, then, you know, that's the first thing we need to do is talk about that. But if you are a child of God, then we need to come together, not what a Democrat wants, not what a Republican wants. What does Christ want us to do?
Right.
And until we get to the point where we are walking in obedience with Christ in everything that we do, whether it be your finances, your time, your thoughts, then, our land's going to be divided. And that's exactly what Satan wants us to do.
Exactly.
He doesn't want us to come together. He wants us to be at odds. So I just encourage you that if you come across somebody that you have different views on, come together, especially if both of you guys are children of God. Just come together and agree on the things that God wants us to do, and let Him, like Danae said, change our heart. Let Him make the changes, and let's put our trust into Him and not the things that we can do.
Right, exactly.
So hopefully that's helped. But if you guys have any questions or comments on that, we'd love to have that as well. And just to see your thoughts on what we just talked about. But hopefully the podcast helped you as far as the best cheese on the ketogenic diet, which ones to eat, which ones to avoid. If you know somebody that might benefit from this, please share it.
Yeah.
Also, if you could give us a rating on iTunes, and the more people that rate us, especially if you guys give us a 5,
right,
the more people are going to come across that and say, hey, well, let me check this out, and maybe they need the message of the gospel as well.
Right.
Okay? Anyway, you guys have a blessed day, and we'll see you guys next week.